It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
This is the Chief with the Dice Tower. Today we're talking about an expansion called the Heat for Police Precinct. But let me start with a few things first. I have a bias. This is a review copy that was sent to me. I like Police Precinct, and there's kind of a likeness of me in the original game. It looks much better than me. My game group says it doesn't look like me because it's good looking. Hello, hello. And I've been asked to work on an expansion called Narcs. I was an undercover narc. So there's my biases. Having said that, I want to say one thing, and I'll show you a close-up when we get in. I'm not a fan of this style of art. They kind of broke from this style that's on here. This is almost like a washed, almost like a watercolor style. And it even distorts, in my opinion, the African American's nose or face a little bit. Yeah, that's just me. That was my first impressions. I know it can be difficult, but I wish they would stay with the same vein or same artist. And other than that, that's going to be my only negative. I've been a cop for 18 years. Police Precinct is hard, and it actually simulates fairly good, as much as the game can, I think. Kind of having to cover calls and the pressure and a crime occurring in street gangs. I have a hard time beating it, a very hard time beating it. I've never played with the traitor aspect, the dirty cop. What these do is make it easier. The gear, love the gear. The gear is persistent. If you have a shotgun, you have the shotgun. I'll go into how you get those things and everything when we do a close-up look. The specialist, which are like gang suppression guy, lab tech, and I'll have to check all the cards, but I believe once you use them, they're usually gone. And that's not, I mean, I think that's more game purpose rather than thematic, but it's not too far from thematic. Worked a busy day where there were like 3 different shootings, and the shooting I was on, person wasn't dead. I couldn't get a lab. There was another shooting where someone had passed. They'd been killed, and the lab was all working that. And well, I was told I could get a lab, but it was going to be an hour and a half. So that wasn't really doable. So the officers on the scene handled it, and we're not nearly as expert as the lab guys. So thematically, I think it mixes in pretty good. Let's go in and take a closer look, and I'll show you, because there's a little bit of a kind of a rules card or a way you can balance the game, difficult or hard, and then I'll show you what the gear and what the specialists do. It's the Chief with the Dice Tower. We're going to be reviewing the Heat. That is Thomas coming on through. I never played with Thomas until I had kids, and I was already an old man. There's a lesson in there. The Heat. It's a what I call a mini expansion for Police Precinct, which you're basically going to have, I've laid out here, and we'll zoom in a little bit. But this, which has super glare, is going to give you some different ways you can make the game easier and harder, or even impossible. The specialists are kind of like the lab or crime analysts, gang, experts. They're going to be one-time use cards. Again, we'll zoom in and look at some of them that are going to help you do things like re-roll dice or ignore certain events that happen or whatnot. The gear is much like it sounds. Here I've placed out a shotgun. Here I've placed out tear gas. It's going to be items that you'll be able to put in your car, and they'll be persistent, and they'll stay with you, and they'll be able to help you out. In order to pick up these cards, what will happen is anytime you move up on that crime tracker chart or sheet, every time you move up, you're going to select one of each of these cards. They're going to go face up inside the police precinct building. On the cards, there's an associated cost sometimes. Sometimes they're free. The cost could be a police card or a donut, different things. Again, I'll zoom in on a couple of them and you'll see those. And the way you'll collect these as they're fed into, the other way you can get them is if you collect donuts. When you get 1 or more donuts, you'll roll a die. 1 to 4, no cards are put in. I believe 5, you put 1 of the cards in from one of the groups, and if it's a 6, you put 1 of each in. I think I have that right. And then how you retrieve them. The way you're going to retrieve them is anytime you begin or end your turn at the police station, you'll have the option of picking up 2 of either type for a maximum of 4. You can also pick up a card by just driving past the station. You don't have to stop or begin your turn there, but you have to pay a rush fee. A rush fee is one of your police cards, and you can still pick up as many cards as you want when you do that, as long as you pay that card's cost. And remember, there is a hand size limit. You can never have more than 2 cards of either type, basically on your player board or in your hand, which will limit you to a total of 4. So 2 gear, 2 specialists. All right, I'm gonna pluck up this rules card since we have a glare. I usually don't like holding them when we're shooting, but I want you to be able to get a shot of it. So it's easier for you just to look at this, but there's one easy version, and then it goes hard, very hard, no way, which is supposed to be impossible. Here's the deal. I have a very hard time beating this game already. These cards that you pick up here actually will help you immensely. So we'll look at some of those. Let me zoom in on them. All right, we'll talk about tear gas first. So here's the cost. So picking up the shotgun is going to be free. Picking up the tear gas is going to cost you one of your police cards. The text explains what it does. For the tear gas, the main thing that or the only thing it's going to give you is that your vehicle now counts as 2 vehicles when you're calculating support. So normally when your car is in a spot with another player, they're going to be able to add 1 die or search 1 extra card or whatever. If you have the tear gas, you count as 2. Now this is good. I'm going to give you a real life scenario here. Some of our police cars have what we call mini arsenals. It's no secret, but in the trunk, they'll have actually a little case that has different types of smoke or tear gas or sometimes extra ammunition or whatnot. And so the card, even though it only shows 1 little tear gas canister, the reason they're saying this is extra support is literally because if you're having a problem and that car's there, you know, the mini arsenal with the tear gas and the smoke and everything can help out. So now the shotgun. Shotgun's free. And what it allows you to do is roll 2 extra dice when you attempt to arrest a member of a street gang. So hello, like I said, the shotgun's a great equalizer. There's a first aid kit, and it means that you can still play your police cards even if there's some sort of special circumstances on the board, you know, a card that says you can't. Body armor, love it. You can imagine if you were normally going to get injured and go to the hospital, the bulletproof vest says you don't have to. There's a camera, draw 1 extra card when investigating. Has 2 benefits. The second one is you don't need to shuffle the deck afterwards if you don't want to. Love it. I'm not going to explain all of them. Forensics kits, GPS, megaphone. Now let's go in and take a look at some of the specialists. All right, they're laid out a little bit different. The cost is here. Their title of their position on the police department, and then the text for what they do. This gentleman's free as well. Now the key again with these guys is that all of them are going to be a one-time use. So the crime analyst is going to allow you to avoid an event card that you just drew. So after you read it, you don't want to do it, bam, bring in your crime analyst, don't have to do it. Meanwhile, our street crime expert is going to allow you one time to roll all the dice that you just rolled. So hello, re-roll. Let me show you or read you some of the other ones they have. You've got a special agent. We've got a unit morale specialist. You can collect 2 donuts by giving to be given to other players if you have them. So that's kind of nice. You've got a communications specialist, and you've got emergency services unit. And I'm not going to go in and explain every one of them of what they do. Very nice addition. Makes the game a little bit easier. Again, I call this a micro or a mini expansion, but they'll be being used every time I play the game. All right, we're back. I dig it. I will play with these. If the game's so hard, I have to play with these. Otherwise, I'm getting whooped all the time. I like the shotgun. I like the shotgun in real life. All right, it's an equalizer. I'm going to tell you a slight story that's not even my best story, but it keeps coming to mind even when I played this game. It was late at night. Somebody had broken out like a big glass pane on a business, And we had reports coming on cell phone that it was multiple people and they were still in the business. So it was a burglary in progress. I hadn't been inside the building, didn't know what the layout was. There's nothing better to protect yourself and your fellow officers than a shotgun in a close, confined space. And I love the shotgun, and I'm pretty good with the shotgun, so I took it in. Problem, as I'm entering, we didn't have anybody there to unlock the doors, so we had to go in the same way the bad guys did. There was I'm pretty big, 6'6", and maybe not as nimble as I should be. And as I was entering into the business through the front glass pane that's broken, I felt what felt like simply a small bump on my lower right leg. The guy coming in behind me, because you go in a stack, said, "Brunsheen, I think you may have cut yourself on the glass because it looked like your leg bumped some sharp glass." I said, "Okay," didn't feel like much. Needless to say, as we're clearing the building, another officer tells me I'm leaving a trail, and it's not a trail of breadcrumbs. Hello, I can't say that. It's not a trail of breadcrumbs. Something else that starts with B. So the funny side of this story, because that's not really funny, but it's true to life. I mean, hey, you get hurt sometimes, right? I had to go to the ER. I had to get stitched up on my leg pretty good. So I get into the ER. I'm in full gear. And they tell me I need to take my pants off and I need to take my duty belt off, and there's no real good place to secure it. And I said, "No, can we just cut the pant leg? Just cut the pant leg off, suture me up." They said, "Sure." The pants were ruined anyway. But the funny part of the story is I get stitched up. I have to return to the station. So now I am wearing what looks like a half a pair of cut-off jeans, but it's with a formal dress duty pant. So let's just call it one-legged Daisy Dukes. Okay, they weren't that short, but that's the kind of impression I gave people when I showed up. That it's so bizarre to see an officer with like more than half his leg exposed, like it's a pair of cut-off shorts, and the other half normal. That everybody thought it was pretty funny. So there you go. Sorry that story keeps coming in. I may even cut that out, but we'll see. So the Heat, it's a mini expansion. I don't call this a full expansion, but I like it. I use it. I've got a bias, but I will tell you the truth. Even with a bias that's going on with the game, it's a review copy, I'm working on an expansion, whatever, I'll still tell you the truth. I won't hedge it. So straight talk from the Chief and from the Dice Tower in general. See you guys later. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.